Hello again. Just a quick update on what's going on in the shed. Not a lot really. Well, it just depends. We've had a new lathe, and I just thought I'd give you a view of it and show you what I've done to it in the way of accessorizing it and to get it into a fit state for me to do a bit of turning. Hopefully in the next week or two we'll get back to the engine, because one of my main problems has been probably my fault, but I couldn't get the little mini lathe to be totally accurate as far as parallel turning was concerned. I was getting a run out, so it was taper turning, only very slightly, but it made making a cylinder and a piston. As I say, it's probably my fault, but I couldn't actually get a piston and cylinder to work as I wanted. So we'll be coming back to that after we've run our new lathe in. Now, the lathe I've got was bought from Chester Model Engineering, is it? Chester Machine Tools in Deeside, Saltney, Broughton, whatever it is, in Chester, which is not too far from me. Very nice people to deal with. I've had no problems really. I went on their open day and I bought a lathe, a DB10, which is about as big as I can get in my workshop, and I got it at a reduced price because it had had a bit of a rough time. It had got a lot of facial damage to it, where it had obviously been either rolled over or knocked into. Some of the controls were damaged, but superficial stuff, nothing major. And having got my wife involved, Jenny, we managed to get it out of the back of the van and into the shed by the aid of a little four-wheel trolley I hired and an engine hoist. And although Jenny didn't seem to enjoy it that much, and I can't understand why, we got it in, and I thought it was a very good effort because it weighs 2.5 hundredweight, and it had to come through the door, which is behind me, which is a normal sized door, and I had to get the engine hoist into the shed first, so it was a bit of a struggle, but we did it. We lifted it in, no problem. Anyway, I will now show you the lathe, and I'll show you the upgrades I've done to it, and a little bit of an upgrade I'm just going to do now. So I'll refocus the camera and I'll give you a look. I've also got another piece of equipment I've made for myself. I have problems standing. My legs, I can't stand for long periods, and obviously it stops me working at the lathe for any length of time, because standing is a problem. But I've made a piece of equipment which does help me to remain at the lathe, stood and working for quite a period of time, and I'll show that later. Right, the lathe. Right, this is the new Chester DB10 Super B lathe that I acquired a couple of weeks ago, and it is much bigger than the mini lathe I had before. The mini lathe was 7-inch swing, by 14-inch length. This one is 10-inch swing by 22-inch, and although it doesn't sound a lot of difference, the machine itself is massive compared with the other one. I only just got it in. The height was greater than I thought because of this upstand here. I can't get the back shield on at the moment, so it is just stood on its tray. It's actually just stood on the bench at the minute. I haven't fastened it down. That's one of the next things we've got to do. I removed the safety equipment, as you do. That's the hood that comes over the chuck. I couldn't cope with that. That was driving me, well, I am insane already, but it was pushing me further down the road. Anyway, modifications. Well, first of all, when I got the machine, this panel that has the speed controller and digital readout on it was all caved in, and the rotary speed knob was damaged. There was one or two other things bent. There was a bent bolt there. This handle on the carriage was snapped and missing. There is a problem with the speed readout. I didn't realise, because when I bought it I asked, was the damage just the superficial stuff you could see at the front? They said yes, but when I got it back home I found the rear panel at the back where the speed controller and stuff is. The panel was just held on very loosely with a few bolts, and it was actually on backwards, and when I looked inside there was cables pulled off one of the digital panels, and I had to go back to take a picture of an intact one so I could reconnect all the wires. But having done that, I still can't get a digital readout, so that's got to be addressed, but it all runs perfectly well. The things I like about it are especially difficult showing it. Yes, wind it all the way back, and this expanding shield on the lead on the screw is wonderful. It keeps all the muck out of the lead screw, and it continues all the way to the back of the lathe, so it's covered all together. The lead screw looks like a normal lead screw, except it's got a slot all the way down it, and the slot, the lead screw obviously is for the threading traverse. Like that. So that's the threading. But what it's got that my other machine didn't have, which is powered by the slot in the lead screw, is powered traverse, and not powering it through the threading half nuts. And not only has it got traverse that way, it's got traverse that way, powered. And you've got the change wheels in the back, and there's two gear selectors on the front, so you can alter the speed of feed by engaging these see that's going a lot faster now, a lot slower there, so you can set it up to do just what you want. Feeds and speeds, as I will say. That's it. That's in now. So those two things are ideal. Now what I've done is change the lantern tool post, because I can't get on with one of them either, and I've put a quick release tool post on it, and I've got all my got to rebuy all the holders, because I sold the other lathe and I sold it with all the tooling. So we put a quick release tool post on it. I've done away with the nut. That's something else. I can't buy it. I look for a spanner every time. So we made a nut at the top. The other thing was the carriage lock. If you can see that. Carriage lock here was just an Allen bolt, and you have to use an Allen key. There again, it's on your wick when you're trying to find the Allen key all the time, and fitting it in there blind was difficult. So I made a new Allen bolt with a big head on it, slightly angled rod, and a lovely little brass end like that. So now you can just lock the carriage and unlock it at ease. The other thing I've done is, this normally came with two little handles there, fixed, just screwed in. They didn't rotate or anything, they were just screwed in. And believe it or not, they got on me wick as well. So what I did was, I made, can you see it? I made this adapter to go on the back of the screw, and I extended the handle out by about, I don't know, 15 mil. Just gives you a bigger throw, so when you're winding it, it is now quite a smooth operation to wind that in and out. And this has got a little rotary handle on it to make it easier to turn. The other thing I did was I wanted a thrust bearing behind here, because it was just metal to metal, and that made it notchy going in one direction. So I bought a thrust bearing, and this one has got rollers in it, and there's only 2mm wide. So you just put it straight on, it goes behind the key in the shaft. There's just enough room to pop it on. You can machine the back of this out to cover it up, but it's only 2mm, and that has made it exceptionally smooth. You can wind that very smoothly. So that's yet another job you have done. Nothing else at present. That's about it, what we've done to it. But the machine works exceptionally well at the minute. No problems at all. If I want to check the speed of the chuck, I've got one of these little digital meters. There's a sticker on the back of the thing, and there we are, 200 RPM, see? So can easily check it by that until I get the readout sorted. Right, that's the lathe sorted. Oh, one job I'm going to do now, this is another thing that wasn't quite right. The compound, obviously you can rotate by slackening two nuts. And when I got the machine, this was held on by 2 mild steel bolts and 2 mild steel nuts, and after just a couple of, you slacken it and tighten it, they stripped. And I was surprised when I took the nuts off. This one will be off in a second. Bolt. And when I lifted this, it was two, not these bolts, it was just 2 mild steel bolts pushed into the T-slots. Now I didn't think that was the job. I thought that was a bit rubbishy. Whether they normally come with just a couple of mild steel bolts in the T-slots, I don't know. I have no idea. So what I did was I bought some from oh dear, is it Arc Trading? The smallest T-nuts I could find, and I had to put them on the mill to make them smaller because they needed to be 11 mil and 7, was it 7 in the top here? I can't remember. Anyway, I had to mill them down to get them to fit. They are in there. I'm not going to move them because I won't be able to get my bolts back in. But they are hardened. So what I've just bought, find the really hole again. There we go. What I've just bought is some hardened high tensile bolts to go in. So I'm just swapping them over. Oh, doing it wrong now. Take the washers off. These are just mild steel that I had in stock. So those can go on there. And as I say, those are high tensile. Not that I want to over tighten it, but I don't want them stripping all the time. Only 6 mil. It's located now. I'll just put the other one in. Oh, we found the hole. As we say in Wales, we found the tuft. So we put our bolt in the tuft, and now we can set 0 and we can tighten him up. Should wound them a bit further with my fingers. That's it. Now it only takes half a turn to tighten them down sufficiently. Yeah, so for the size of lathe and the space I've got, I highly recommend this lathe. Not that my recommendation is of any value to anybody, because I'm not a machinist, as other people say. I'm just an idiot mucking about in a shed. But in my opinion, it's a nice machine. Does everything I want. Smashing. Right, we will just move on to the special equipment I've made. So just bear with me. The special piece of equipment I've made that I'm using at this minute, and I am stood up, I shall focus on now. It is the Aspen arse stick. Tubular base, bicycle seat, adjustable for height, and this is how it works. You just put your foot on the tube at the bottom, and there we go. I'm stood up and I can stay like this working at my machine for as long as I like, because it's taken all the pressure off my legs and the dodgy ankle I've got, which is now what you sort of call arthritic. So that takes because I'm quite a hefty fella, that takes all the weight off. And yes, I could lose weight, and yes, I've tried, and no, I haven't, and so I've made myself an arse stick. Okay, thanks for watching, and as soon as we get some more movement, I'll try and record it. Bye.